Greetings, sports fans. We are the Sports Kings from Queens. I'm Gino, here with my co-hosts Kevin and Darren. Today's Wednesday, May 7th. This is episode 168. Please catch us wherever you get your podcast. Like, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram. Give us a look, join our pages. Take one of our posts, share it with your friends, get us out there. If you got any questions, any comments, leave them for us. We'll get back to you. Tonight, we go around the world of sports, including a winner at the Kentucky Derby. But we're going to start it out with the Knicks because it's the second round. The Knicks have won a playoff game. They are up 1-0. Game 2 is taking place as we speak, about 6 and change left. Knicks currently down 12 in game 2. But Kev, let's talk about game 1.
Well, real quick, when we left last week, it was 3-2. They did win game 6 against Detroit. Another big shot by Brunson. I mean, the move he made on the defender had him going one way, and Brunson comes back the other way, puts up that lefty 3, and hits the game with 4 seconds left. They do a good job of shorting off Cunningham. He throws it out to Beasley, who fumbles it away. They can't get a shot off, and the Knicks survive. And that's the best way of putting it. Survive round 1 against it.
Well, they blow an 11-point lead in the fourth, and then they trail by 7 with 2:35 to go.
Yeah,
and then they storm. I mean, just Knick basketball, and just the way the NBA is played now is we play really fast and just shoot threes.
Yeah, and then game 2, game 1, I should say, down 72-52 halfway through the third quarter. Almost feels like the same score as we had tonight. They were down 20, pretty close to the same score.
Absolutely.
Just a little earlier in the third, but yeah, you're right.
And the big thing is sort of similar to what they did tonight, 23-12 run to cut it to 9 entering the fourth. And then they held Boston scoreless for about the first 4 minutes, cut it to 1. Eventually tied it at 86. Bronson had the back-to-back threes to give him a 6-point lead with 3.5 left. The Celtics respond 7-0 to take a 1-point lead. OG with the 3 to go by 2. Holiday ties it with 53 seconds left, and then they traded misses. OG missed, Tatum missed a 3, Brunson missed a layup, which I was shocked when he got free there. I mean, beautiful
shot
play.
over Horford, but you expect him to hit it.
Yeah.
Because of what Brunson has done, that's why you expect him to hit it. It was a difficult shot, like you said, over Horford, but boy, with the way he's come up big so many times, you expect that to go. And then Tatum missed again to force overtime. And then in overtime, you had OG with a 3-point play. Bridges hit a big 3 to give him a 6-point lead. And they were up 108-105. Brunson misses. The Celtics come down. Brown with a miss. Come back the other way. Hart with a desperation type 3. He misses. And that sets up the Celtics with one last chance to win it. They inbound it to Brown. And he dribbles into the corner and gets stolen by Michael Bridges.
Yeah, he really wasn't dribbling into the corner. It was just a throw up over to the sideline, and Bridges just took it away from him. He didn't really get a dribble. He just got the ball stripped from him. He actually just was out fought.
I mean, Darren, your comment right away. Yep, there's a Jaylen Brown turnover to end the game.
There's so many things to like about Jaylen Brown's game, and one of them that you just don't like is that he's just a turnover waiting to happen in a big spot. I mean, you can't get out wrestled for the ball there. You just can't. Listen, I would root for the Knicks. I'm glad he got out wrestled for the ball. Don't get me wrong, but wow, I was a little surprised by that.
And of course, a big stat. The Celtics 15 for 60 from 3. When you're that cold, why the hell are you shooting 63s? That's the problem with the NBA game today.
Yeah.
That's the problem, Kev.
That's why it's unwatchable. We can't hit 3, so let's keep shooting them. Nobody wants to take a shot inside. No one wants to hit a tough 2. No one wants to do anything. Everybody wants to shoot the open 3. And it's just it's a brutal part of the game. And the thing about the overtime was Brunson was cold. Brunson couldn't hit water from a boat. Bridges made 2 incredible defensive plays, including the last one you talked about. The other one where he got the deflection and saved it, and he hit the 3. And Bridges has been, he's been beaten pretty hard this year. As like they spent a lot of picks on him, 5 number 1s or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he wasn't worth it, and he wasn't. I'm not saying that the fans were wrong, but he did show some mettle in game 1.
Yeah.
Now in game 2, we're in a different animal. Now they're down, down down double digits again. Let's see if they can come back in the last 6 and change. I mean, but that's kind of where this team is now. And Brunson hasn't had a big day. And when Brunson doesn't have a big day, this team usually doesn't have a big day.
Yep. We'll update you before the end of the night.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be over.
Okay.
Before we're done.
Elsewhere in the East, Cleveland playing Indiana.
Can we just go back to we had 2 game 7s.
Go ahead.
And they both sucked. I just want to point out that NHL game 7s blew away NBA game 7 so badly. James Harden scored 7 points, didn't show up for the Clippers, and they flew fans in.
I was holding him until we got to the West.
Oh, well, I'm just saying, but you were talking about the next round, so I didn't know if you were going to continue with the next round.
Well, the East.
Well, I didn't know, G. I'm sorry. I assumed you were going to the second round because we didn't cover.
Okay. But
you also didn't start with the Knicks, first round and the other one either. So I'm sorry about that.
Let's continue with the end of the first round, though. So we had 2 game 7s: Houston, Golden State, and Denver and the Clippers. Darren,
Golden State controlled and dominated, not as badly as the Clippers got dominated. They were down 33 in the third. They were never even in the game. A guy like Harden decided, I don't want to play anymore this year, so I'm not going to. Just the NBA can get very ugly when the games aren't competitive. There's not that drama. You still feel like you can catch a lot of it in the last 5 minutes of a game sometimes. And if there is no last 5 minutes of a game, you really don't catch crap. But, we had 2 upsets in the West. We didn't have any in the East, really. So the West had the 6 and the 7 both advanced, right, Kev? I think you predicted both. I had one of them. I did not have Minnesota. I was glad I lost on that one.
So was I.
And you had Minnesota also?
I did. No, I haven't had Minnesota. I had the Lakers.
I had the Lakers too. We were glad to see that. Most interesting stat of the first round, and then we'll go to the second, if that's all right, G.
Yeah.
Doncic was blown by on 65.4% on all drives he defended.
Wow.
I saw that stat. I felt like I was UB Brown for a second. I'm like, he's coming up with these like massive numbers. Blown by on 65.4, not just beaten, but blown by. I mean, he's a defensive liability, and Minnesota took advantage. The blueprint was laid last year by Boston. Make him play defense. He'll score his points. Make him play defense, and he couldn't do it. Just one of those things.
Wow.
Anyway, back to you with the as we continue the second round. Sorry, Gino.
Okay. So the other East series. So we talked about Knicks and the Celtics. The other series is Cleveland, Indiana. Cleveland swept Miami to get there, and Indiana beat Milwaukee in 5 games to get there. I think we were all thinking this was going to be Cleveland, in some kind of easy fashion, whether it's 5 games, 6 games. But we played 2 so far. Indiana's won them both. They won the first one by 9. And then last night, Halliburton had the big shot to give them the win 120-119. Kev?
Game 1 was nip and tuck a lot throughout. Indy just closed on a 20-10 run to steal game 1 on the road, which was big for them. And then game 2, Cleveland led. They came out great, 35-15 early second. Even going into the fourth, they led by 14. They were up 7 with 2:31 left. They still stayed 7 with 57 seconds left. It's 119-112. And then Nesmith off the offensive rebound gets dunked to cut it to 2. You get the offensive foul on Mitchell. Siakam with the layup to cut it to 3 with 27 seconds left. Nembhard gets the steal. Halliburton gets shot, attempting the shot with 12 seconds left. He makes the first, misses the second, gets his own offensive rebound, brings it back out, and hits a game-winning 3 with 1 second left. And somehow, some way, they finished off on an 8-0 run in the last minute to take game 2. I mean, Mitchell had 48.
With Garland not playing,
much more.
With Garland not playing, this team is not the same. And Max Strus could not handle that press in the last minute. Max Strus was overmatched. Yeah, and that's what we saw. You felt like, when you have Allen and you have Mobley, and you can't grab a defensive rebound off a missed foul shot,
Yeah,
there's something up. I mean, it's not like these guys are both excellent defensive rebounders and excellent defensive players. And well, I mean, Jared Allen more known for his defense, but
Mobley was out.
What was that?
Mobley missed yesterday.
Oh, he missed the game? I'm sorry,
Yep.
I missed that. So it was just
Mobley
Allen that missed it. My mistake.
Hunter was out, but no Garland. But Garland, it's a big toe injury, and I know toes can be painful. Don't you gotta try to suck it up in the playoffs?
Well, man, I mean, Max Strus is not going to be able to handle it.
Extra padding in the shoe, somehow got out 20 minutes.
Couple of gout pills, do something.
Simple fact of the matter is, though, you can't blow a 7-point lead at home with 57 seconds left. And they
Given all that, they had every chance in the world to win, and they choked it away.
And now the two other teams on the other side, Boston and New York, are licking their chops, saying we have a good shot of being home in the next round right now.
Yeah,
Indiana's got to get out of that 3-1. You know, even if you don't expect them to sweep it, you never know. But you figure Indiana's got to feel like they got to take one at home, and then they should be okay. I mean, that's what you would have to believe anyway.
Okay, before we move to the West, Nick update.
Last I saw was 5. I don't know if you guys saw something beyond that.
Yeah, they're in commercial right this minute.
Yeah, about 240 something left, and they're down 5, right?
Yep, that's the last I saw.
All right, so out West. So we talked about the game 1. What we wound up getting was OKC in Denver and Golden State in Minnesota. Both have played one game so far. OKC in Denver. Denver wound up winning game 1, 121-119. Kev?
Another case where the home team, the 1 seed, blew the lead. They led by 10 at halftime, 14 with 4.5 left in the third.
That was it.
The Nuggets made a run. They cut it down to 5 after 3, but then OKC extended the lead again. They were still up 115-106, 9-point lead with 3 minutes left. And the Nuggets go on a 15-4 game-ending run. Gordon hits a game-winning 3 with 2.8 left, and Denver steals a game there. Jokic, huge game.
Huge.
42 points, 22 rebounds, 17 assists. Nobody can stop him on OKC.
And I think I must have caught it right around when they were up by double digits in the third. And I'm like, all right, OKC's got this.
The game's over.
This is done. That they'll put away in the fourth quarter, but that didn't happen. Darren, anything on OKC?
Well, Denver had 72 rebounds, 50 to 53 for Oklahoma City, and they had 21 on the offensive glass. I mean, Jokic was unstoppable. The one thing watching this game that, and it's apparent in every game, and I know that they've probably just made this like a simple do not pay attention to it refs type of thing. The amount of travels that are just done on rebounds, on the amount of travels that are done before a guy makes a pass or as the guy's going out of bounds, it's unreal to watch. I mean, just watching Jokic, I know he's got big strides, but every time he has the ball, it looks like he kind of commits a turnover. I know everybody calls everything Euro step now, but these things are getting kind of ridiculous. It's hard to watch 4 steps on every single play, and you feel like that's what's happening. The other thing I noticed in this is, SGA basically on every drive lowers his shoulder, kind of pushes off and gets away with it basically every single time. He's such a strong kid. Holmgren's skill set is great. I didn't watch this team play a ton during the year. You guys might have caught him more than I did. I caught him in the playoffs a little bit now, and obviously I saw part of game 1. But I was, just watching that game. I think there was like 25 travels that would have been called in the college game that weren't even touched. And it might have been more, it's just one of those things where it's, I don't know, it makes the NBA is a tough sport sometimes if your team's not playing. There's a lot of crap that goes on out there sometimes.
See, I'd rather they told us we're not calling the traveling anymore. That's it. Yeah. It's not getting called. At least then you can watch it with a straight face and not be like, oh, come on, he traveled. It was come on.
It was funny because Brunson in game 1 in the fourth quarter had like a carry, and it was a blatant carry. He kind of picked up the ball, held it, then put it back down. They called it, and it was the right call. It's not like you get mad about it. But all you're saying is they let everything else go. And I'm glad they called it to an extent, but it's like they randomly pick one here and there. I don't know. Just I know that they just don't want. They want it to be offensive and free flowing and all that stuff, and I get it. I mean, I get that offense sells. And that's what they want, but sometimes it becomes unwatchable a little bit.
Okay.
So in the Knicks game, they were down 5. Tibbs did challenge one of the baskets, and it was actually a 3, not a 2. So it was 4 points coming out of the break. And Cat just had the putback, got fouled, and made the foul shot. The end one. Now they're down by 1 with 2.5 left.
Yeah, I mean, in Boston again, shooting a lot of threes, and Tatum just doesn't look right.
17-2 run they're up to now.
Wow.
And Boston as of right now is 10 for 40, 25% again from 3-point range.
Unbelievable.
It's just not that much fun to watch them keep going. I mean, I thought in game 1, Boston had a little bit of an advantage, what they didn't utilize with White. I thought that White looked like he had some juice to him, and they just kept avoiding him and going to Brown and mostly Tatum. White still had 16 shots, but they all seemed early, and it seemed like the only guy that was hitting. If 3 for 11 is hitting from 3, I just I just get a little stunned at the way Boston's offense works, and really the way NBA offenses work.
Darren, what are you up to now?
Knicks are up 1.
Yep.
Is where I'm at. You guys are probably ahead of me, but the guy that's really been fun to watch in this one, to be honest, has been Hart. Josh Hart has been everywhere in this game. He's got 23 points, which you never see. And he's played 41 minutes. I mean, Bridges played 48 or 51 last night, or whatever it was. But but Hart leading the way on this team with 23 has been, lights out. 1-2. You guys might be ahead of me, under 2, but it's the Knicks' first lead, 87-86, and you guys might be a little ahead of me on this.
We're at 112 and counting.
Yeah, so I'm in the 130, so you guys got me.
The other series out west, Golden State, Minnesota. Golden State won game 1, 99-88.
They lost Curry.
Big story out of this is Steph Curry has gone down with an injury, and it looks like from what they're saying, he's not going to play games 2 or 3. So
they're saying at least a week.
Yeah.
I mean,
in NBA terms, that's only 2 games, Kev.
That's true. I was shocked. I mean, Minnesota did not show up, and Golden State led 80-60 after the third, and they're a team that actually did not blow a lead in the fourth.
Now, Minnesota was really cold. But neither team shot 40% in this game, and that was that's pretty much the difference. I mean, Minnesota got off to a bad start and never turned it up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we still got the Knicks going. It's under a minute. Knicks are up a couple of points at the moment. We'll move on. So we also had the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby this past Saturday. Sovereignty, the winner. He was a 7-1 shot. Journalism comes in second. Baeza, 3. Final Gambit, 4. It was a sloppy track. Sovereignty wound up winning by a length and a half. It was a great finish as they came down the stretch. Before that final push, there could have been 5-6 horses involved, and then all of a sudden you had that final push down the stretch. The dollar win paid $17.96, the exacta $48.32. The trifecta paid $2.31, and the superfecta paid $16.82. Darren, let's talk a little Derby.
Okay, like you said, the rain went much later than expected. They thought that the track would be fast by the time it went off. It didn't work out that way. But I didn't think that the race was really ruined by conditions. I thought it was well run despite the slop. I thought that, listen, the 1 and 2 kind of veered out to start the race, okay? And you felt like they knew they had to. Otherwise, they were going to be buried. They're both speed horses. So it wasn't like a surprise. I think if it was a fast track, they would have done the same thing. Outside of that, I thought that the track wasn't that big a factor. Like, listen, I don't know if somebody felt it when they were getting hit with mud in their face. I don't know if something like that happened. But journalism was pretty well in great position, made his move. The key was Alvarado had Sovereignty make the move at the exact same time. Did not give a chance for journalism to get the momentum where he would have to close big. He did. That's what happened to Baeza. What happened to Baeza is why you don't like betting closers in the Derby. You got to navigate through 18 other horses.
Yep.
Sovereignty didn't put himself in that position. Alvarado didn't put him in that position. As soon as Journalism took off, he took off. And Journalism looked great coming around the stretch. And here came Sovereignty. And the two of them went nose to nose. And Sovereignty found a way to get through. You saw Baeza flying down the center for third. And you feel like if he didn't get interfered with up earlier in the track, he might have had the most horse left. And you say to yourself, wow, this could be the Belmont winner just because, well, it's not the Belmonts, it's Saratoga, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because of distance. But I thought Sovereignty ran a great race. Alvarado, I thought, did everything perfect. And then, of course, the way horse racing works, a nice slight black eye, and Sovereignty will not run the Preakness. So therefore, we do not get the excitement of the Triple Crown. Ticket sales will be off in New York. Ticket sales will be off in Maryland. What it does set up, and I'll get you guys back to the race in a second, is that we might have a really good Breeders' Cup Classic between a couple of different winners. What it does set up is the Belmont being a tiebreaker between two winners, but it's still not the same as a Triple Crown horse. And I feel like that's the only negative off this. But great race by Mott and Alvarado and Sovereignty. So I pass it to you, Kev. Thoughts on the race? You had the winner.
Yeah. It was kind of the way I thought it was going to happen. I said, him breaking from the 18, he's a closer. Alvarado's going to drop him back. I mean, he was 17th at the 3/4 mile, but you knew he had plenty of room on the outside. And like you said, the big thing was, making his move and catching up and making the move with Sovereignty. Gave him that
journalism.
With journalism, I mean, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Made the move at the same time as Journalism, so the two of them came around, and Sovereignty passed him at the top of the stretch and held on to win by a length and a half. Journalism ran a real solid race. Starting at 7, he was in the middle, ran in the middle most of the way, 10th, 11th, and then made his move. You knew he was going to get beat up by some of the horses around him, where Sovereignty had the much clearer path, even though he was further outside. And that's the way the race broke down, and that's why Journalism failed to win. It was because of the trip and because of having 19 horses in there.
Yeah.
Like I said, Citizen Bull and Neo Equus set the pace early. They had to. They got out real well from the 1 and 2, and set the pace for 3/4 to a mile. Owen Almighty ran a heck of a race. He actually showed his head up front before fading in the stretch, and really, Baeza made the big move too. And there wasn't a lot of other big time movement, I don't think, in there. It was just a real solid race. And a couple of late scratches there. One of the ones we like, Grande, got scratched.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sets up. If Journalism runs, I think Journalism is clearly the favorite in the Preakness.
Yep.
And if they come back in the Belmont, now you've got Sovereignty fresh, and Baeza who could close. And even though the Belmont's in Saratoga this year, are they still running the 1.5 miles?
Yes, from what I understand, yes.
Okay.
I'd have to look it up, but yes, I'm like 99.9%. I might be off. I thought it was.
I don't think so.
You think it's shorter than that?
Yeah, I think so.
You might be right. I thought they were running the 1.5 miles.
Check. We'll have to do a double check.
I mean, the one thing I'll say is that they could ran the half in 46.3, so the track was not slow. I mean, as much as the pace was there for the closers.
Yeah.
And it's set up perfectly. And the tactical speed of Journalism was right where it had to be. And like you said, Kev, great race. And the closing speed of Sovereignty and taking off a little earlier and not getting caught up with all the horses in the stretch and all the maneuvering and positioning himself outside was perfect. And, there we are.
Listen, I thought it was a good race. My only problem was I can't stand the fact that he's sitting out the Preakness.
Well, I mean, this is what the owners wanted. I hate it because I think that you almost have, a debt to pay to horse racing to try to keep it exciting.
I agree.
And
Darren.
Yep, I know how it ends. I know how it ends. I caught up on my phone.
Okay.
This way I can do it with you guys. So I know
the screaming and yelling is because the Knicks just won 91-90 in game 2, take a 2-0 lead.
2 straight 20-point comebacks in the second half.
Wow.
So it came out with 24 left. Tatum, end to end. I mean, there's no defense. The defense.
Well, OG got picked and nobody helped him.
Yeah. So he clear path end to end with the dunk, And then they come down the other way, and Brunson gets the foul and hits both foul shots to give them the 1-point lead. And then was that Bridges again with the block on Tatum from the corner?
I think it was Robinson.
Deep baseline. Was it Robinson or Robinson? And
Bridges, I think, got the rebound.
Yeah, I think it was. Wow.
I was watching it on my phone, so you might have a better angle than me.
Robinson was there with him. I thought Bridges from the side.
I thought it was Bridges from the side also.
But wow, unbelievable. They couldn't get the shot off at the end. It's unbelievable. 2 straight games, rallying from 20 down to pull out wins. Unbelievable.
The Knicks and the Pacers are both up 2-0 right now. Somebody should have bet that somewhere, Kev.
And both with improbable wins in game 2. Game 1, the Knicks had come back and had a lead. Game 2, you didn't expect them to get back into it. Boston, basically, these teams sit there and they play this 2-man offense, and if they're not hitting the shots, they don't go for it. Watch it again. Oh no! Watching it again, it was Bridges and Anunoby. It was not Bridges and Robinson. It was. I think Bridges got the hand on. I think you're right.
Yeah,
and he just threw it up there. But yeah, I mean the 2 best defensive players, and they're up. Wow, very impressive win for the Knicks.
A combined 25 for 100 in 2 games from 3.
Unbelievable.
I mean that's wow.
All right, let's move over to the NHL as we continue. We'll get into the playoff picture in 2 seconds, but Monday night, the NHL drew the draft lottery. The New York Islanders landed number 1 draft pick with just a 3.5% chance of getting that pick. They had the 10th best odds going in. The last time they had the number 1 pick was 2009. That was John Tavares, Kev. I know you know that.
Oh, yeah.
5th time in franchise history they'll have a number 1 pick. Others, Billy Harris in 72.
Billy Harris is the first one.
Popped in 73. DiPietro 2000 and Tavares 2009. So the two guys that the information I have seen that are up for that choice are BC college forward and Long Island native James Higgins and the Ontario Hockey League Defenseman of the Year, Matthew Schaefer. So those are the 2 guys.
I see Misa as well. By the way.
Okay.
Misa's another forward. He's a centerman.
Okay. So let's get into the NHL playoffs. So before we get into round 2, you want to hit the big? Let's hit the Sunday night.
Both games were great. Saturday night and Sunday night were great. Listen, the NHL playoff game 7s were both ridiculous. They were both as good as advertised. Everything you expected. We talked about how Dallas and Colorado were going to be the 2 best teams and the best first-round series, and it was.
Yeah.
Right? It was just amazing. Every game was great. Dallas scores 4 in the final 12 minutes. They were down 2-0. I mean, one's an empty netter. But Mikko Rantanen scores a third-period hat trick, first one ever in a game 7.
Yep.
Right, against his former team. Oettinger was great against a really high-powered offensive Colorado team. A lot of fight, a lot of heart, a lot of hustle, and they just kind of took over the third period, and really the last 12 minutes, Dallas kind of controlled it, and they found a way to win it. And I thought it was just an amazing game. I thought it was the best game we were going to see until the next night. Kev, I mean, what'd you think about it?
Yeah, and what you don't see too often, they did have 2 penalties in the third period against Colorado.
Yep.
I mean, they were legitimate. There was no doubt about it. And Dallas took advantage. Rantanen and Johnston both scored the power play goals, those 2 shots. And then, like you said, Rantanen put in the empty net to give him the hat trick. Unbelievable comeback. Especially it was 1-0. McKinnon scores early third, 30 seconds in. And you're thinking, all right, that's one that Colorado needed. Give him that little breathing room.
Yep,
that's what Colorado was just kind of cruise from there. And Dallas came storming back. Wow. Rantanen earned his money.
You ain't kidding, Kev.
Oh, my God. It was just one of those excellent games. Again, 2 great teams. The edge in net, you would have to give to Oettinger going into the series, and I think you left the series giving Oettinger the edge as well. I just think he faced a lot more quality shots from Colorado. It was just gifted. And fantastic. And we thought this game was going to be the game of the first round. And then Sunday came, right? Winnipeg 4, St. Louis 3. St. Louis scores 2 goals in the first 7-16. Hellebuck was pulled in game 6. He looked rattled to start the game, kind of settled in, but Winnipeg kind of took control of the game also. So he wasn't facing a lot. And they cut it to 2-1. And then Perfetti scored. And then all of a sudden, St. Louis scores that goal in the last minute of the second to go 3-1. And you're like, whatever. They're going to need a little bit of a run in the third, which Winnipeg had done at home this entire series. But we go 18 minutes into the third and nothing happens. And all of a sudden, with 1:55 to go, Perfetti scores again. Cuts it to 3-2.
No.
Oh, no. Perfetti scored the tie. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was Nemestikov scored it to cut it to 3-2.
But Darren, they had pulled the goalie at that point.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. And they score with 1:55 left. And now the intensity is just ratcheted up 4 notches at that point. That last minute and a half is just unbelievable hockey. I mean,
and Binnington is playing fantastic. Binnington's doing everything he can. Hellebuck's not really getting threatened much. Binnington's doing everything he can. And then with 3 seconds left,
that's Perfetti.
Pass and the flag right to Perfetti's stick. He puts it in. Nothing Binnington can really do on it. Ties it up and sends us to an overtime. 3-3. And the first G.
So here you go, Darren. You like these odd stats?
Yep.
The St. Louis Blues in the regular season gave up the most goals with the goalie pulled. They gave up 13 in the regular season before those 2. So they gave up 15 goals in the whole season, including the playoffs, with the goalie pulled. Unbelievable stuff. So go ahead, Darren.
Yeah. So then we go first overtime, nothing, right? But I can't go to bed now. I'm in. I'm all in. That's why I have the whiteout behind me on the picture when you see it on YouTube. It was such an intense crowd. And, you go back into it, and Winnipeg is their first home game 7 ever. Ever.
Wow.
Ever. Either Winnipeg team, right? This is the Thrashers reincarnated. But the old Winnipeg Jets never had a home game 7 either. They've only made one other game 7 where they beat Nashville in 2018, and they've only made 2 conference finals in their history. So you don't know what's going to happen here. In the second overtime, again, another goal that Binnington can do nothing about. Just shot from the point, gets deflected off the defenseman. Then it gets off Lowry, and it beats Binnington to the wide side, and that's it. I mean, the second deflection wins it for the home team. The place goes nuts. Winnipeg advances. The 1 beats the 8 by the skin of their teeth, and now we get what makes hockey so special. You get the handshake after they're beating the crap out of each other for 7 games. You get the respect, the hugs from the coaches, all the things that you love about hockey that the other sports don't quite give you. You see it in baseball. They just walk off the field. You see it in the NBA. Some guys shake hands, some guys don't. In college, they kind of shake hands. You see in the NFL, some guys go up to others, some guys storm off the field. Hockey, they just do it right. Then they salute the crowd. And it's fun when the home team wins a game 7 if you don't have a rooting interest, just because the arena, they don't have to talk. The arena just does it for you. And listen, I had no dog in the fight. I was just happy that Winnipeg won. I was happy to see that organization move forward a little bit. Thoughts on it, Kev or G? Any other thoughts on that game? It was just amazing.
I think you guys summed it up perfectly.
Yeah, and unbelievable where it's back-to-back game 7s on Saturday night and Sunday night, and it turns out you get 2 just unbelievably classic games, just unbelievable. Right to the end, Colorado, gives up the lead. Winnipeg comes back. It was crazy. Now those 2 teams face off game 1 tonight.
Yep.
Round 2, so they haven't started round 2 yet. Little ample time off. Darren.
Another interesting thing on this game, Morrissey gets hurt early. He plays 4 minutes. Neil Pionk from Omaha, Nebraska, plays 46 minutes. Dylan Sandberg from Saginaw, Minnesota, plays 44 minutes. I mean, these guys were on the ice all freaking night. They had 5 defensemen, and they buried one of them, and they basically played 4 defensemen throughout both overtimes. And Pionk was never out of position in any spot. It looked like he was always right where he had to be. He's not someone you sit there and say, well, Neil Pionk's one of the best defensemen in hockey. You don't say that. Morrissey's the best defenseman on this team. They won without him. Scheifele didn't play. They won without him. Dallas also had some banged up players as well. I'm not trying to say – I'm not Dallas. I'm sorry, St. Louis. But the players Winnipeg was missing made it very impressive how they advanced in this one.
Okay. The other series out west for round 2, Las Vegas to Edmonton. Edmonton wins game 1 last night, 4-2 against Las Vegas. So that series is now 1-0. Darren?
Vegas jumped out 2-0 early and had a lot of pressure on them. And then just like the Oilers have done all playoff long, they just settle in and they know eventually we're going to score a lot of goals. And they scored 4. I mean, that's what it is. Kev?
First round series, they were down 2-0, won the last 4, all in the come from behind, and now this is their 5th straight win coming from behind in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're just doing it. I mean, they have no doubt that they're going to come in and score. They're just so potent. It is ridiculous.
Over in the East, Toronto versus Florida, Washington, Carolina. Monday night, Toronto beats Florida 5-4. And then last night, Carolina winds up beating Washington 2-1 in overtime. Any comments on the East, guys? Darren?
Carolina dominated Washington last night. They deserved to win. The winning goal after a great game by Thompson all night was just a puck by Slavin on the ice that he just never saw, and it just slid right in. I'm sorry.
Washington had, about 14 shots on goal, I think?
Against 33-14, I think it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't much of a game. Toronto right now is, a couple minutes away from going up 2-0 here.
They are.
They're up 1-0 against they're up by a goal against Florida. The thing about Toronto was never worrying about them getting the 3. Their struggle is getting the 4th. That was the only series that went 6 in the first round, and they were up 3-0. They were the only team up 3-0. They lost games 4 and 5 and held on in game 6. So, listen, we're going to see if Toronto can get to the conference finals for the first time in 23 years or not. That's what we're going to find out.
Other random NHL news, the Utah Hockey Club has named their team name. They are the Utah Mammoth, and their logo will have a side profile of a woolly mammoth with the Wasatch Mountains in the background from Utah.
Say it fast 5 times, Kev. Wasatch.
The mountains.
The mountains in the background.
Just an overview.
All right. Any other NHL points before we move on, guys?
No, I think you covered a lot of it.
All right. We'll move to baseball. So, Mets, can I say they're on fire, Kev, or no? Is that not allowed?
Well, they cooled off a little bit here last week. They had the 6-game road trip.
They're 24-14 after today. They can be cool all you want. They're 24-14.
Playing very well.
They're 5-5 in the last 10. 3-3 on the road trip. They went to St. Louis. They were swept in the doubleheader Sunday. My God, they hit the ball hard all over the yard. It was right at people all day. I've never seen a team like that. So it was Rob who threw on home run in one of the games. And then they go to Arizona. They win 2 out of 3. Just one stat from that they mentioned last night. Gallen and Peterson matched up. Gallen went 7. Peterson went 6. They both threw 100 pitches. It was only the 3rd start this year where both pitchers threw 100 pitches. Back on April 25th, Chris Sale.
I bet you 2 guys are so proud of that fact.
Chris Sale.
I want to see him go 140.
Chris Sale threw 104 in 5 innings against Zach Gallen, who threw 103 in 5 innings. And then back on April 19th, Ben Brown for the Cubs threw 100 in 4 innings in a duel against Zach Gallen, who threw 103 in 6. So it's
Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen's the guy.
Zach Gallen is the key. You match him against Zach Gallen, you've got to throw 100 pitches. I thought that was just one of those weird stats that just popped up. But overall, I mean, they finished the game, a stretch here, 26 games in 27 days. I mean, that's a long stretch there. They wound up going 16-10. And now the rest of May, they've got every Thursday off. So that's got a chance to set up their pitching, to get their bullpen right. They've got to figure out what to do with the lefties. Minter and Young, both season-ending surgery. The big loss there, of course, is Minter.
Yeah.
He had the last surgery.
Absolutely.
They brought up
loss.
Giannis Cabrera, who's had some success. They re-signed Brooks Raley, finishing off his rehab from Tommy John. Today they signed Colin Poche, or however you say his name. He was with the Rays a couple of years ago, pitched well in spots. You know, they're going to see if they can find a lefty here to give him, 30 innings for the year?
It's the lefty journeyman, Kev.
That's what it is right now. That's what they're going to try to cycle through.
Yeah.
They'll have opportunities to get.
Yeah, yep, and if that guy doesn't work, they'll find somebody else. So that's what happens.
It's definitely a tradable position for them.
Yep, no doubt about it.
Minter is the big loss because
he was the big signing.
When he's right, he's excellent. He's excellent.
Oh, he's pitching well.
Oh, I know, but I mean, when he starts working those pitches, oh my God, he's excellent, and that's just a huge loss for them. But listen, it's early; they'll get through. So,
Florida,
right, Darren, Yankees, 20-16.
Yeah, I mean, listen, tonight they were being no hit through 6 2/3. They hit a homer to break that with Bellinger. And then Grisham, they were down. Then they're down 3-1. They hit another homer by Grisham, who's having a hell of a start. Thing about the Yankees again, it's the bullpen. It's been, Devin Williams obviously lighter blew a game against Tampa also, but Devin Williams is really the question mark. And right now, you got to look at him as your 5th or 6th inning guy. You can't. It's got to be Leiter 7. It's got to be Cruz 8, and it's got to be Weaver 9. They blew, opportunity in this series. They should have had a real good shot of winning the Padres series already, but they kind of fell apart. As far as the offense, Judge seems to still be amazing. Goldschmidt's playing great. For him, he's not hitting homers yet, but he's still putting the ball in play. And it seems like Volpe and Wells and these guys are starting to hit a little bit now. Ben Rice he's actually cooled off batting average wise, but he's still hitting.
Yeah.
And Dominguez had a couple of big hits. So I don't know if it's me rooting so hard for Dominguez or if Dominguez is starting to play better. I can't tell which one it is. But I do feel like he's doing a little bit more. Rodon threw another gem on Monday. He's been great. Yep. Again, Fried tonight, outstanding again. I mean, the top 2 guys have given you everything you need. In this rotation, they just need to get a little bit more help, and hopefully it'll be here coming. But they're struggling a bit. They still have the lead in the division. Just like to be honest, the rest of the division has kind of fallen back a little bit. The Red Sox are under 500 coming into today. So are the Blue Jays. The Orioles have been bad all year. The Rays were under 500 as well, even though they took the 2 out of 3 from the Yanks. But we'll see what we get going forward. Obviously, this team needs to just kind of, gel a little bit more. We need to get a couple of guys, out there healthy and hitting that is supposed to be. Maybe this Bellinger home run sparks him a little bit.
Okay. Kev, any other baseball points?
Yeah, the only thing, does anybody realize what the Athletics are doing?
Playing great.
I mean, they've lost the last 2 against Seattle to fall 3 back of Seattle, but, they were going into Tuesday night's games with a chance to play for first place.
One of 12 teams before today to have 20 wins.
Yeah, they're incredible what they're doing. They're enjoying their minor league ballpark in Sacramento.
And the fact of the matter is, a lot of young play. I mean, Rooker's starting to hit and all that stuff, but guys like Butler, Bladay's starting to hit a little bit more. Andujar, the former Yankee, really starting to get involved a little bit. They called up the kid Kurtz from the Wake Forest kid. He's hitting a little bit. They're getting a lot. I mean, offensively, they've been pretty good. Pitching has been okay. They're fun. The Tigers have been great so far. Guardians and Royals have been pretty good. The Mariners went on a 10-game streak. So you've had a lot of that. Nationally, the Phillies have made they're staying in striking distance to the Mets. They're not as good as the Mets. But the Dodgers have taken their spot as the best team in the National League, which we all expected. Padres and Giants and Cubs still all playing well, too. So there's some teams that are playing well. A couple of interesting stats. Judge still over 500 on base percentage, whatever. Luis Robert leads the league in stolen bases with 15 going into today. Yamamoto's got an ERA under 1. Frida's at 1.01 coming in today. It went up, giving up 1 run in 7 innings. So he sucks. Suarez leads the league in saves. Mackenzie Gore in strikeouts. Cody Clemens homered in his first game at Fenway. Dad was there to root him on as a twin. And then a couple of quick stats. I'm going to start with the Met one for Kev. So Pete Alonso, through his first 882 games, which was a couple days ago, had 398 extra base hits.
398. Okay.
Through 882 games, Ken Griffey Jr. also had 398 extra base hits.
Wow.
I think we sometimes take a little bit for granted of how consistently good Pete Alonso has been. Where we had fans saying, I don't know if we need to re-sign him. So, most wanted him, don't get me wrong. But some were like, oh, because, he's not, you don't pay for that position. Pete Alonso has been damn good here. And I thought that was an interesting stat. 2 for Nolan Ryan, just because Gino likes pitchers that pitch a long time. Nolan Ryan in his career only had 4 seasons in his career out of the 27-season career he had where he had more Ks than base runners allowed. He was 40 years old. He was 42 years old. He was 43 years old. And he was 44 years old.
Oh, my God.
Here's the other one I thought was pretty good. Nolan Ryan had 198 career non-winning quality starts. In those games, he was 0-107 with a 2.27 ERA and a 1.16 whip with a 9.77 Ks per 9. So the people that sit there and say Nolan Ryan was overrated can go straight to hell. Oh, he was a strikeout guy, but he didn't get the wins. And I'm just saying, this guy, we used to think that, guys like Matt Harvey and other local players pitched to bad luck a lot. I don't think he could get more bad luck than Ryan had for his career. And the fact that he got stronger as he got older and beat the crap out of a young Robin Ventura at one point, you got to give him full marks. I don't know. Just those stats blew me off the page, so I just wanted to share it. And one last baseball point, college baseball. Ole Miss player Peyton Chatanier scored on a pick off the first. Basically, they tried to pick him off. Again, Alcorn State tried to pick him off, so he ran to second, and he beat the tag. But then he noticed no one was covering third. So he ran to third. As they tried to get him, he was safe again. And then he realized no one was covering home. So he went home and scored. You can't make it up. It's really ridiculous. But anyway, I digress. That's just baseball.
Okay, while we were finishing up baseball, Toronto winds up beating Florida 4-3, so they're now up 2-0 in the East hockey.
Florida pulled the goalie with about 3 minutes left.
Yeah,
they pulled him real early. I was surprised.
Yeah, and they put a ton of pressure on the Maple Leafs.
And they're playing the backup goalie because Stolarz got sick in the last game. He was yakking on the bench. They're playing well in that. And he looked shaky in game 1, but he played well tonight.
Okay, a couple of other notes. So we'll go around the world of sports. So NFL, there was a trade that happened today. Pittsburgh, the Steelers trade Pickens to Dallas for a 3rd-round pick and then a pick swap next year in 27, the year after. Any other NFL points right now?
Guys, no, I think with Pittsburgh to get a draft pick for Pickens. I mean, they traded for Metcalf, who plays the same position basically at wide receiver. And you know what? After last year, if you're Pittsburgh, you don't want to deal with Pickens. And the fact that they're not going to pick up his rookie option, he's going to play out of his contract this year to get the 3rd-round pick. I think that was a good addition by subtraction.
Yeah, you can't have Pickens and Metcalf in the same huddle. I mean, no quarterback's going to be able to handle that. Yeah, and if Tomlin can't get through to Pickens, I don't know who's gonna.
I did get some personal feedback from a family member concerning my Giant comments from last week. He is a Giant fan, so he gave me some feedback, and he actually thought that they would not be playing the quarterback this year. And I said, well, if you're not going to play the quarterback this year, then why did you even bother drafting him? If you're going to try to win, why even waste the draft capital on the quarterback?
He might have been the best player on their board at that time.
Just play. Yeah, but they had to also trade up to get him. It's not like he was sitting there in the second round when it was their turn to pick. By the way, his name just flew right out of my head. Thank you, Jackson Dart. So I did get some personal feedback up close and personal. So it was not on the computer. It was live, face-to-face, a little conversation. Wanted to mention it. But listen,
so in other words, he agreed. Your family member agreed with Darren and I.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I stand by my comments. I still don't know. Man. If you're not going to play him, I don't know why you even bother. If you're trying to win as many games as you can, then go with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and use the draft capital on another player you need. It's not like they don't have needs, that team. So anyway, that's all I got on the NFL. I do have one other thing. So May 31st will be the Champions League final. Yesterday, Inter Milan wound up winning. Today, Paris Saint-Germain wound up winning. So Munich, Germany will host the Champions League final on May 31st. I like the Champions League. I know everybody doesn't, but I do.
That's fine.
It's a good watch.
Any other points? Any other around the world sports points? Darren?
I have a couple. Do you have anything, Kev?
Yeah, golf.
I have golf. Go ahead. Lead the way.
PGA Tour, the CJ Cup Byron Nelson tournament this weekend. Scotty Scheffler ties the PGA scoring record with a 31 under 253. Ties the record. Justin Thomas back in 2017 Sony Open and Ludwig Ahlberg in the 2023 RSM Classic also shot 253. He bogeyed the par 3 17th. And then he comes to the par 5 18. Puts it into the greenside bunker. Out is 8-foot birdie putt for the record, slips by. So he sells for the tie. He wins by 8 strokes. He was up 8 going into the 4th round.
He was dominant.
Kev, just on a note, I hate when the professionals are like minus 20 or better. I hate that. It just, to me, what it means is the course just wasn't challenging enough for the professionals. When you got professionals shooting minus 25, come on. It's just like the course.
That's fine to have it once in a while. I mean,
this is a heritage tournament event, though. This is not one. The Byron Nelson's been around forever, so there's certain ones they're never going to pull away because they try to make the course a little more challenging. I'm sure they have. I can't say I studied it, but Byron Nelson has been around for so long. Well, I don't think they're taking it off the tour. I agree with you, by the way, Gino. I like it. Listen, we all three of us, I think, love U.S. Opens where there's like four players in the red. We like it when it's like exciting, but sometimes they have a couple of these, and I agree with you. It's ridiculous.
When you see one of these golfers have a great round and they're minus 12, it means something. When you see the golfer have minus 25 on the scorecard, it's like, come on. And listen, Kev, the guy who finished in second was this weekend was what, minus 25, right?
23. He finished
23, right? So he obviously had an amazing round, but he didn't win. So Scheffler had just a totally amazing round for 4 rounds. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, yeah.
I get it.
What's coming up, Kev? What's the next one? Next week,
Next weekend, we have the PGA Championship,
PGA.
right, Kev?
Yeah.
Quail Hollow in Charlotte next week is the PGA.
Next weekend.
Not this weekend, but next weekend.
Next weekend. I said next weekend, yeah. Okay, we got that on the horizon. Darren, what else you got?
NCAA hoop, just a quick point. St. John's replaces UCLA in the CBS Sports Classic.
I saw that,
They could play Kentucky. The other 2 teams are North Carolina, Ohio State. Cronin, who said he saw the Statue of Liberty twice before New Year's, decided that he wanted to pull UCLA out and didn't want to travel back and forth because of the Big Ten rigorous schedule of going back and forth through. So St. John's, they jump on it. That just tells you where Pitino has this program that they put them in there right away. One last point for me, it's going to be a NASCAR point, which will be interesting, right?
Okay.
In the NASCAR race in Texas this week, 100-year-old U.S. Marine veteran Corporal Don Graves sang the national anthem. He survived Iwo Jima, and his rendition had the crowd going crazy. Thank you for your service, Marine veteran Corporal Don Graves. That's all I got, pal.
All right.
I have a couple boxing points.
Yeah, that's right. You had Yeah, you want to talk about that. That's right.
So Friday night, they had an interesting thing. They set up a ring in Times Square for some professional fights. They did a good job. They started off with FDNY, NYPD fights. So that was, they always have a great time with any of these sports. So that was a great thing. During the bouts, there's no locker room or anything. So guys are coming in by yellow cab to the ring and all. I mean, they really did it up. Really great atmosphere. Long story short is that really to set up next fights. So on the undercard, Devin Haney, number 2 at 140, moved up to 147. He won. Not that impressive. But that was supposed to set up a fight against Ryan Garcia, coming back from a year-long suspension for an illegal substance. Well, he goes up against Rolando Romero. Romero wins by unanimous decision. The two of them in a 12-round fight combined for 490 punches thrown, which is the third fewest in a 12-round match in the CompuBox era. The following night, Canelo Alvarez, William Skull say, "Hold my beer." The two of them, Skull decided to play the entire fight. He threw 290 punches, 220 of them were jabs. You throw a weak jab, run away. Throw a weak jab, run away. And Canelo Alvarez said, "I'm not running around chasing you." Alvarez threw 152. They combined for 445 punches, which set the record in the CompuBox era for the fewest punches thrown.
These Alvarez are lightweight divisions. These guys should be throwing a lot of punches. I mean, I know that Canelo's bigger than he was. Don't get me wrong, but still.
Yeah. I mean, basically, Canelo was taking a warm-up to set up. They just announced afterwards he's fighting Terrence Crawford on September 12th. But, both fighters were warned about, not engaging, not fighting and all, but they just didn't care. They set the record. So 445 for them, 490 the night before. Sunday night, Naoya the Monster Inoue against Ramon Corderas. He's a multiple Cardenas, thanks. Multiple weight divisions, multiple time champion for Inoue. He was actually knocked down in the second, came back, TKO'd Cardenas in the 8th. Inoue threw 462 punches in 7.5 rounds. He outthrew 2 other fights by himself in 8 rounds, or under 8 rounds.
He won his 11th straight in that fight, too. I mean, he's a good fighter anyway. He really is.
Oh, he's fun to watch. If you have
he's
a chance
fast,
to watch him.
He throws a lot of punches.
Yep. That's the way the fighting should be game. That's the way the fight game should be.
Boxing wonders why they're losing out to MMA. And the reason why it is because they're setting up these fights where Bud Crawford is about probably 3 or 4 years beyond his peak, and Canelo's about 10 years beyond his peak. So these guys can get a payday, and they're setting up Jake Paul against Mike Tyson, and they're setting up crap. And you're putting Skull in the fight against Canelo, and he has no shot going in. He's just trying to survive. You're setting up these fights that nobody wants to see. Get the good boxers out there fighting. I mean, say what you want about MMA, and I don't follow it, so I don't know all these guys. But they have a new card coming out every 5 seconds with great fighters in it. It's nuts.
Yeah, they do. They have great. It's one after the other. I'm not big into it, but I know a couple of people who are, and they love it.
Yeah, people that like it love it, man. I decided at some point I have to stop picking up new sports. That's why I don't watch this football in the spring. I'll get divorced. I mean, she'll just freaking leave me if I keep watching another sport now.
Football in the spring.
I can't do it. Even people's like, "Oh, it's pretty good." I'm like, I can't. She'll leave me.
It's spring time. It's baseball time. Sorry.
Yeah. It is. That's just the way it works. You guys have anything else?
No, that's it.
We are the Sports Kings from Queens, wrapping this show up, episode 168. Just remember, Monday night was the ultimate night for blue and orange fans. The Islanders aren't involved, but Wednesday night matched it as well with the Knicks coming back again from 20. Please download the podcast anywhere you can get a podcast, whether it be an Apple product, Spotify, TuneIn, whatever you like. We post a ton on social. Please share it. Get it out to other people so they may watch it as well. See if they like what we have to put forward. And just remember, We are putting out new content constantly. Dino now involved. Kevin posted about Bartolo Colon. We're getting a ton of crap out there. So, without any further ado, may your sports be with you.